Yo, what's up everybody, Stand 'em Up here. Today I'm going to be talking about UFC Fight Night, Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. I'm going to give you guys a few betting guides, few tips, few lines you could look at. Now, keep in mind, this is advice. I am no professional gambler, so with that in mind, let's just get into it. Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivak, the main event. Derrick Lewis 2-3 in his last 5, Sergey Spivak 4-1 in his last 5. Sergey Spivak has faced the lesser opposition, while Derrick Lewis has faced guys like Pavlovich, Taito Ivasa, Daukas, Sirogan, Curtis Blades, and Sergey Spivak has faced guys like Sakai, Greg Hardy, Tom Aspinall, which he lost, but a good guy, Olinik, and Vandera. Now Sergey is the pretty big favorite here at minus 230. Derrick Lewis pretty big underdog, which I do agree with. I feel like Spivak should get this fight done if he goes to the ground with him. Now Derrick Lewis does well against wrestlers, like against Curtis Blades and this but he does well against wrestlers. Like he said, I like wrestlers, but I feel like he is at the end of his career. Sergey Spivak is a pretty good wrestler. He has good cardio. He is a guy that just always goes for the takedowns, but when he gets hit, he doesn't react well at all. So it is kind of a risky fight, and there is no way in hell I will ever be putting money on Sergey Spivak at minus 250 against Derrick Lewis. That's just way too wide of a line. So I found something else that's much better. Over 1.5 rounds, plus 106, minus 106. Let's say at plus 100. It's a very good money line if you think that Spivak will win this fight, which he probably will. He never finishes fights in the first round. He never has, and he probably never will. In his last fights, pretty sure most of them went to decision or TKO, but all of those, like later on, he beat Greg Hardy. Maybe that was in the first round, but that's Greg Hardy. He is as Derrick Lewis, just a whole different breed, man. When he gets taken to the ground, he doesn't get a lot of damage. He's a guy that stands up as well. So if you think that Sergey Spivak wins this fight, it will 99% be over 1.5 rounds, which is a much better money line than Sergey Spivak at just Sergey Spivak at minus 250. Also, if Derrick Lewis wins, and it is over 1.5 rounds, which happens pretty often as well, you win money anyway. So this is a much better line in my opinion, plus 100, plus 106 instead of the minus 250 you would put on Sergey Spivak. Now Down Jung versus Devin Clark. In my opinion, this is 245 to minus 250 is fair, but Devin Clark is a pretty good guy. Over 1.5 rounds, I can see that happening, but Down Jung does have a lot of power, and Devin Clark is kind of chinny, so I would not put a lot of money on there. I would probably not put money on there on this fight. Maybe a little sprinkle on Down Jung, like in a parlay or something, but besides that, I wouldn't put money on this. Marcin Tybura versus Blago Ivanov. I feel like Marcin Tybura is just a bigger Blago Ivanov, just two wet blank guys. This will probably go to the decision. Fight to go to the decision, minus 200. Yeah, that makes sense. At minus 140, 130, it isn't a bad price tag, because I feel like Tybura will beat Ivanov pretty handedly. Let's see what the people are thinking. 86% are going with Tybura. Ivanov isn't bad, but like Tybura, like I said, he's the same fighter, and he's faced better position as well. He's just bigger. He is fatter as well. He probably weighs more as well. So I'm going with Tybura here. At minus 130, minus 140, it isn't a bad price tag in my opinion. Now let's get into Duho Choi versus Kyle Nelson. The price tag isn't out yet for not go the distance, but this fight probably won't go the distance. Duho Choi especially is a guy that goes for the KO and gets KO'd a lot. In his last 2 fights he got KO'd. Kyle Nelson's also a guy that's pretty chinny, has a big weight cut to 145, and he's fighting a guy that has a lot of power, and he himself possesses a lot of power as well and is a finisher. So this fight probably won't go the distance, but I don't know if the line will be good. Kyle Nelson is a all right underdog, plus 150, plus 160, and I do like that, to be honest, because Doo-ho Choi hasn't fought in like 2 years. Let's see, probably even more. His last fight was against another Canadian. It was against Charles Jourdain. He got knocked out 3 years ago. It isn't the Superboy anymore. It isn't the same. Carl Nelson, not a great fighter, like you guys can see, 1-4 in his last 5. But competed 4 months ago, almost 5 months ago, against Jay Herbert, and looked pretty good. So I'm going with Carl Nelson. We'll do a little sprinkle on that fight. Now let's see Adam Fugit versus Yusaku Kinoshita. If you guys know, Yusaku Kinoshita is a very good striker, pretty good on the ground as well. Adam Fugit is pretty good as well, pretty good BJJ and an alright striker. Now Yusaku has finished most of his fights by KO, but Fugit is very tough. I feel like the fight goes to decision at plus 140 is something to look at. I would not put money on it myself, but if you're looking at it, I feel like that it will be pretty good. Now we got 4 fights from the road to UFC finale. I will not be putting money on those fights because tournaments are something I just stay off of, because the craziest shit happens there, man. Especially in the finales, you never know who will win. And with these guys, I am going to be completely honest, I don't know enough about these guys. I haven't seen enough of their fights to actually tell you guys who will win. So I will not be putting money on these guys because it's a lot of close fights, like you guys see. Even the odds like this, the fights are pretty close, and it's an Asian circuit. You never know, man. So I'm not putting money on that. Now we got Ji Young Kim versus Mandy Boom. This fight will 100% go to the decision, 99% go to the decision, and you guys can see why the line is so wide. Ji Young Kim is the better fighter. Mandy Boom is not good whatsoever. Plus 220, plus 210. I feel like that makes sense. Maybe Ji Young Kim by decision is a good price. Let's see. Wins by decision at minus 120, minus 130. I'll maybe put a little sprinkle on it, but maybe I would have put a few dollars on it if it was at plus money, but at minus 130 I'll think about it, but I don't know. It's a women's fight. It's a low level women's fight. Normally I'd say just stay away of these, but I feel like Mandy Boom is real bad, and Ji Young Kim has had a few close fights against pretty good fighters, so I'm going with Ji Young Kim. Now we got Dennis Tululin versus Jin Young Park. Jin Young Park is a pretty big favorite, which I do agree with. His ground game is much better than Tululin's, but Tululin is a hard hitter, a pretty good striker. Jin Young Park has been knocked out in this I guess Gregory Rodriguez was a pretty brutal knockout. This is not a fight I would put money on, because Jin Young Park, although he's pretty good, the fight IQ doesn't seem to be all there. At minus 200, minus 250, I would definitely not put money on it. Maybe even a little sprinkle on Tululin by KO, because he is a guy with a lot of power, and Jin Young Park, he has shown to be hittable. So let's get into the first, or for this video, to the last fight. Jesus Santos Aguilar versus Tatsuro Taira. Both guys are submission grapplers, very good. Both have a lot of finishes by submission. A lot of finishes by submission. Jesus Aguilar, very good guillotine. Tatsuro Taira is a guy that does everything, but Jesus Aguilar is pretty sure he has like 7 submission wins, and 6 of them are by guillotine. His guillotine is very strong, but I feel like Taira is just a much better fighter. You can see the price being minus 1,000, minus 1,200, and although I don't agree with it, I feel like Taira should be the big favorite. Now let's see. The fight goes to distance at plus 150, plus 140. I feel like that's a line we could look at, because I don't see Aguilar winning this fight. He has a lot of submissions, but I don't see him winning this fight. Taira is too good on the feet, on the ground as well. Very good control. And if we look at his last few fights. CJ Vergara, not a great ground fighter. He lost by submission. Carlos Candelario, he's alright on the ground, not too good, not too shabby, but I feel like Jesus Aguilar is a bit better with the submissions, and he couldn't get him submit him. Now you know, on the Asian regional scene, of course you're going to get a lot of submissions and a lot of KOs, because those fighters aren't on the level of guys like Aguilar. I feel like plus 150, if the price gets even higher, I feel like that's something we could look at. I will not put my money on it on this price tag, but maybe at my plus 180, 190, I would look into it. Now for the last thing, let's look at the parlay. This card is a hard one, man. Let's see. I am going with the Taira plus. Oh my bad. How do I do this? Let's see. Plus 1400 seems fair. Jion Kim. Let's see. I'm not going to put money on these. I feel like Yusaku Kinoshita will beat this man up pretty easily. And then I'm going with a Marcin Tybura as well. This will be my 4 fight parlay: Tatsuro Taira, Jion Kim, Yusaku Kinoshita, Marcin Tybura. If Taira loses, which I really don't see happening, you can bet on the other guys again, because he is the first fight of the night. So that was it, guys. Thank you for watching. Like I said, keep in mind, I'm not a professional gambler. This is just something I do for fun. But yeah, that was it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.